See, I think I already messed it up. No, I didn't. It did burn one side a little more. So now you're supposed to just take a big old fat inhale, right?
No.
Like deep, oh no?
No.
Oh, sorry, I already messed it up.
I mean, you could. There's some guys that will inhale. I don't. But this cigar, you probably could. It's super light.
Perfect.
And it's a good construction and everything. So, yeah, it's lit real good. Yeah, perfect. All right. You are smoking the house stick. It's an industrial cigar house stick that they made specifically for themselves. They picked out all the filler, the binder, everything about the cigar. They made by principle, and yeah, super good cigar.
No, I dig it. I mean, I'm not a big cigar guy. In fact, I really just don't like cigars that much at all.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
the last time I was here and I had one of these, it stuck out of my mind. This is
good.
like amazing. I could smoke these every single day.
Good,
so
good.
I'm down for that.
Well, enjoy. Thanks. And I wasn't prepared to smoke, honestly, just because I know you're not a cigar smoker, but either way, I'm good. I'm glad that you are. 'Cause
I'm in.
I am too.
I mean, it seems appropriate.
It does.
For the topic and, you know, the name.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the name of the podcast, I called it it's a Cigars and Guns Equalizer podcast.
Oh.
And I say that because the cigar is an equalizer, and you can sit out here in the lounge here at Industrial Cigar, and I could be sitting with, you know, a CEO of a company, a doctor, lawyer, you name it, and we're all equal. It doesn't matter what you are. It doesn't matter what you do. This brings us together. Likewise, the gun.
Yep.
Right? You can be sitting in a room anywhere. You could be at a range somewhere, but if you're out shooting and, you know, someone looks over at the bay and sees what you're shooting and, hey, where'd you get that? Or what is that? And, oh, can I try it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's community. There's so many things that I've seen, like, you know, bourbon community, the gun community, the cigar community. And, I mean, that's what I really like about working in guns is the community, is the kind of people I get to work with. And I think that's something that a lot of people are missing these days, especially.
Yeah. Well, especially this year, right, with everything that's going on. And we won't belabor that at all. But, Nick, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
I really
Stoked to be
appreciate
here.
it. Yeah. And you have a lot of Cabot Guns here. You represent quite a few companies. And we'll get into that. And you can let me know at what point you are with those companies. But tell me what you got, man. I love what you have here.
So, you know, this is actually perfect because I brought kind of an assortment of different, of different 1911s.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a millennial, so you'd think I'd be more of like a Glock guy or a Sig guy. And I was in the past.
Sure.
And there's nothing wrong with the Plastic Fantastics. Like, they're great.
Yeah.
But for me, once you get into, you know, single action, and then, I mean, I like double stacks, but, you know, single action only, 1911s, there's just no other trigger like it. And when it's put together right, there's no other shooting experience quite like a 1911.
Yeah, you're right.
So I love 1911s. Pretty much, I'm not going to say all of them. There's a few companies that I'm like, nah, that's not my thing.
Yeah.
But these right here, and I'd say like 95% of what I see, there's something different about each one. It's like cigars. Like, you could say, oh, it's a cigar. Well, or bourbon or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, a cigar is a cigar. Well, a gun's not a gun, and a 1911 isn't even like a 1911 like all the other ones. So I brought an assortment here from Cabot and Alchemy, two of the companies that I represent.
Love it.
And so I can take you through some of the stuff if you want to see.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
And definitely, I some of these I'll do audio and or video, but this one definitely have to be video because of the guns that you have here, and we need to show these guys what
We
they
got to
look like.
show them off.
Yeah, most definitely.
I hear you.
Yeah,
well, we're going to start with something. I don't want to say it's basic, but for Cabot, think of Cabot as like I don't even want to say the Rolls Royce of 1911s, even though people have called it that. But it's full custom. So whatever you want from a simple 1911 all the way up to the most unbelievable ones like the Big Bang set made out of meteorite.
Yeah.
Every single gun is made to order from either stainless steel, Damascus steel. I'll show you Damascus in a second, or meteorite, whatever materials that the customer wants. But it's made from billet. Like, this is one of the big differences. you go down and let's say, let's use a standard-ish gun. This is the Nero. I actually designed this gun, and I use the term designed loosely, like I photoshopped it because I wanted a gun that looked like this.
Yeah.
And once they built one, I was like, hey, we should probably sell this. But this starts its life as billet steel, and it's U.S. sourced billet. So it's billet 416. It goes into the factory as a blank.
We're talking a block.
A block.
Right. That came from a block.
This came from a block of steel, a single block of steel. Goes in, they mill the frame, the slide, the small parts, all that stuff from U.S. sourced steel in-house.
Nice.
Which is totally unique. Nobody else is doing that. And that's why you get the kind of, finish. Everything's been cleared before, but, I do that because we have a lot of hall monitors that, we love the hall monitors, but you still want to be safe and all that stuff.
Yeah, safe and sorry.
But yeah, like this right here, this is kind of cool. That's the Nero. That was my baby. So that's like what I thought the ideal single stack 1911 was for me to carry and use. And that's 9mm Commander. It's got a DLC, which is short for diamond-like carbon. So that black is diamond-like carbon. It's a bunch of carbon molecules applied to the finish, and it's pretty cool.
I love it, and it just feels so good. The weight is perfectly balanced, and I feel we need to go to the range here pretty soon.
Well, see, if you go to the range with this gun, every single person that's ever shot this specific gun, this is the demo gun, by the way. Look at how it looks. Yeah.
No, it's perfect.
This is a demo.
This is not a demo. It doesn't look like a demo at all.
This has been through thousands and thousands of rounds.
This looks like it just came out of the factory and out of the box, essentially. And the feel on it, and I don't know if you can hear that, but it's so smooth.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because the frame and the slide are machined to go together. So normally, and I'll show you some other guns where they're hand fit, which is kind of the old school way of doing things, which is great. It produces a great gun. These are machined to down to 1,000th of an inch tolerance.
Nice.
So they just fit together properly. But this gun, when I first started doing work for Cabot, I was like, okay, I love everything that we do, but we need to make a gun that I really want. I love everything, but like what speaks to me.
Yeah.
So I photoshopped a bunch of different guns we had together, and I was like, I know we can do this. So I photoshopped them, and I begged the owner, can we build this?
Wow.
And he said yes, and so I sent the Photoshop out to the email list, the Cabot email list, and we sold tons of them. And people are like, I want that gun. So we called it the Nero, which is Italian for black.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to tell you right now, the most difficult thing to do in the gun industry is probably naming guns. That's why you see so many terrible names.
Yeah.
Because everything's trademarked.
Yeah.
Like, you want to call it like the badass bitchin' 1911. Someone else has already called it that.
I bet you.
Like, you can't do that. So we had to go and search through the Italian language to come up with Nero. And it also has references to Emperor Nero, one of the last Roman emperors, and he liked opulent things. So that's what this was all about. But rail frame, undercut, it's sacrilegious, but it's 9mm. I love shooting single stack 9mm. Like when you get this weight, because the whole thing is steel, it's a steel frame gun. It just shoots amazing. But every single person that I've ever let shoot this at a demo has wanted to buy this specific gun. And I'll tell you, did you pull the trigger?
I did. It was like nothing.
Do it again.
Yeah.
Like all the triggers are amazing, but this one right here, it's like sometimes all the stars align and you get something that is just unreplicatable, and that's pretty close to it.
I don't even want to guess the poundage on that, but
it's like right at 3.1.
It feels like 1.5.
Yeah.
It's just so smooth, and I don't know if you can see the trigger, but it's just a straight.
Yep. Yeah, flat trigger, vertical serrations. For those times when you're being tactical and you get like bloody with your $4,500 1911 and, in firefights, you got to make sure it's super grippy. But
yeah.
Oh,
geez. Yeah.
Yeah, so this was fun.
So what's your answer to when someone says, I want that gun, I want to buy that now?
Nope. No, I mean, it's used, and we don't sell used guns. Yeah. And, that just is what it is. This gun is not mine. It's a demo, so it belongs to the company, but they will
It's been in your possession since day one, I'm sure.
They will have to pry it from my cold, dead hands.
Yeah.
It's just... I had somebody demo this gun for the 1911 Syndicate. I flew out to Utah with the gun because I didn't trust him with it.
Sure.
I was like, you cannot have this one. You can shoot it while I'm there, but I won't give you that. But this is cool. This is actually really cool too. This is another 9mm. I know everyone's like, oh my gosh, 9mm 1911s.
Yeah.
But this is, I know it's funny to say like the future of 1911s because it's a 109-year-old design. But this is very similar to the Nero. You can see some of the design features in it, but it's more vertical on the cocking serrations. But it has a whole new internal extraction system. So normally on a 1911, you'll either have an external extractor to pull the empty round out on the right, or like on this one here, you can see on the back, the extractor tunnel. So there's a little piece of metal that goes in there with a hook that as the round comes out, as the slide moves back, it hooks the round and it ejects it.
Got it.
This is a whole new design by a guy named Rob Shawland. He is the head gunsmith at Cabot and Alchemy, and dude has forgotten more about 1911s and firearms in general than I think anyone could ever hope to learn. Designed that extractor, actually has a whole new rail system in there. So this gun, the slide probably moves substantially faster than this. Just the way the whole thing is set up, it has a single, it's a single lug barrel, which is kind of like a Glock. So picture like a Glock-ish barrel inside of a 1911. The frame rails, we haven't showed this on camera before. Maybe I'll show it to you now. But they've got these sand cuts in them, so the rails where the slide meets the frame, it's not straight. It looks like waves.
Oh, wow.
And what that does is it decreases friction. It increases the lubrication, the lubricity. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
Every time I say lube, I chuckle a little bit.
That's right.
But no, this gun moves super fast. We fired it dry, wet. I'm actually doing a torture test on one of our demos, like with dirt. Yeah, we're taking a $4,000 gun, and I'm throwing it in the dirt and torture testing it on camera just to show how this gun, I don't want to say it's unstoppable because almost any gun's unstoppable, but I have not had any. In fact, I haven't had a malfunction, I could say, on any of the guns on this table. I've never experienced a malfunction. Yep.
That's, not anyone can say that.
From a 1911. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
People talk about 1911s, like, the Jam-O-Matic. Yeah, there are ways to make them improperly that can do that. Right. But this is the Rebellion. So this has been a project for 2 years, and the pre-orders just started going out to clients right now. So
nice.
Yeah, and I like the old school two-tone. Also, no flared ejection port. When you look on 1911s, they all have a flared ejection port, even here on like the Nero, this right here.
Right.
It's just for looks. People think that the brass needs to clear that portion there. It's just for looks. So this is kind of old school. I mean, it's just like, I just like how cool guns are. I mean, you got something that's like, they're very similar to each other. If you looked at them, if you didn't know what you're talking about, you didn't know what you were looking at. But there's so much different underneath each one. It's unbelievable.
So getting back to, like, we're at the range, I'm demoing the Nero, and I say I want to buy that one, and you say, I can put in an order for you. Yeah. What's the lead time?
Right now it's about a year.
Even for the Nero?
Yeah, the Nero is about a year. Right now everybody is backed up. Like, you want to get you want to get anything, it's going to take a while. But Cabot's always been about 6 months.
Okay.
Because that's the shortest amount of time you can go from a block of steel to a gun.
Makes sense.
Doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Other companies, and I'm not knocking them, but other companies, they have frame and slide blanks. Okay, so the gun is pretty much ready to go, and then they mill it. They do the finishing touches, like the cocking serrations. They do the fit and finish, and they turn it into a fully functioning firearm. Yeah. But the difficult part is already done, as far as the internals. The frame to slide fit may not be done. Yeah. That's going to be done by hand as well, but the machining is done. And the only reason, by the way, that Cabot went with billet steel is because that's the only way you can guarantee U.S. made steel.
Makes sense.
Because most guns come from forgings, and most forgings come from either the Philippines or they come from, actually, South Korea. There are parts that come out of South Korea that are amazing parts. Like, they're great parts, but they're just not U.S. made. And so Cabot's big thing is made in the USA. So the guns are 100%, I take it back. The guns are 99.9% made in the USA. If you buy a Nero, it comes in a Nanic hard case, which is Canadian. So comes with a Canadian case, but outside of
friends
that,
from the north, that's all right.
Well, the founder of the company, he's actually a former Canadian. I guess he's still. I don't know if you're ever like not a Canadian, but he's got his U.S. citizenship now. Not
dual.
I don't know.
Maybe he's dual, but
maybe he's dual. I don't know.
He's here now, so.
Well, he loves the 1911. He loves the United States so much. He's the most patriotic person I've ever met.
That's awesome.
And he founded the company because he's like, we can do this better, and do this different. And so his whole thing was, made in the USA, 100%. Oh,
perfect.
Yep, I went out.
Turn out. Yeah.
I was talking too much.
No, that happens quite often. Don't feel bad.
Oh, there we go.
Yes. What else you got?
So, it's super fun. Like the guys at Cabot and Alchemy, when I met them, I met them through Instagram, of all places.
Yeah.
And I met them. I was doing some social media work for them, and I went to the NRA show a couple years back to help them with the booth. I wasn't doing sales or anything, but I met them, and I love the gun community. Yeah. But sometimes you can get people with egos. Sure. And I'm going to tell you, everybody at Cabot, like, they're the nicest people, no egos. And the thing is, like, they have every reason to have the biggest friggin' egos in the world.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I mean, you're literally making the Bugatti of the gun world, and everyone is so nice, so down to earth. I was like, I want to do more with you guys. Like, if there's any way to do that, like, let me do that. And
here you are today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you met at the NRA, or you met on Instagram, and then you met him in person at the NRA show?
Yeah, I was doing work for him for 5 months before I actually met anyone in person. Okay. Everything was online. I'm here in Texas, and I met him through another guy, Jake of the 1911 Syndicate. He bought one of their guns, and then introduced me. Okay. Because they wanted some help with some social media stuff, and then that's when I met them in person at NRA, and it was like
so cool.
It was super cool.
Yeah.
And I met, just knowing everybody and how cool everybody was in the company, doing some really crazy stuff. I'm like, I want to be associated with them.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah. And then you mentioned alchemy.
Mm-hmm.
Show us one of the.
Okay, we'll move over to
alchemy.
That.
Yeah.
So, if Cabot is the Rolls Royce / Bugatti, okay. The alchemy is your, I want to say your. All right. I'm trying to think of the right car that's not going to disrupt anybody, but I guess it's gonna be your Hellcat. Okay.
Okay.
So it's super smooth and yet brutal at the same time.
Okay.
But these are also American made, so this is gonna be more classic gunsmithing. So what happened was, Cabot was making their guns, and they contracted a lot of smart people to say, okay, how can we make things better? They're always looking to improve. So they contracted with Rob Shawland, who used to be with Springfield, Les Bear. He was with Armalite for a while.
Okay.
So he knows so much about so many guns, and he had Alchemy Custom Weaponry was his brand. So they brought Rob in to work on Cabot's, but they also bought his brand to come in, and they said, well, let's release this as a gun. So the Alchemy, I'll just do a double check, make sure it's empty. The Alchemy is, the resto mod of the gun world. So that's more traditional gunsmith fitting. We get the frames and slides made by outside manufacturers, U.S. manufacturers, and they're actually doing from billet, like the slides and all that stuff. So it's the same process. It's just other people are doing it because there's only so much time on the machines. Oh, yeah. It's got lockup. That's a hard fit gun.
That was a little bit tougher.
I'm gonna tell you about that in a second. I should have brought one of the test targets. So all these guns are guaranteed to do better than 1.5 inches at 25 yards grouping. Most of them will be under an inch.
Out of the box?
Out of the box.
Shit.
Yeah. So that's why it's so hard fit. But that gun right there, that's, the tagline is blued steel and sex appeal. So that is 4140, which is going to be a carbon steel. So this is old school carbon steel, where these are stainless, not stain proof, but stainless. Okay. All right. So that's carbon steel, and so that allows you to do old school bluing. So this is the Prime Elite, which has the old school polished flats, round top, no tri-tops, no flat tops, gold bead front sight. This hook right here, this rear ledge sight, this is something that Rob Shawlin designed himself. The design features on here are just going back to like the 60s, and even before. Some of the pieces on this gun, like the way it's put together, is from back before the 1911 went to the A1. So for example, it does have a lowered ejection port, but it doesn't have like the flare, so no flares. And then around the trigger guard here, these little details, there's no scallop. So if you look here, there's an extra scallop taken out. This has no scallop right there, so it allows for a longer flat, like more flat to polish. A one-piece magwell mainspring housing on the Prime Elite. All these little details. No set screw on the front of the triggers. So normally on 1911s you have a set screw there that sets the over travel. There's no set screw on the front because if you set the trigger right, you don't really need it to be on the front. So that's how that's all done. But it's just, it's just an old school badass gun. In fact, right now I'm carrying one of these, but I'm carrying the classic carry, which is a commander version of this gun with a few things like ball cuts, a classic commander style hammer, but same company,
same size,
it's.
Or is it the shorter barrel?
It's a commander. So this is a 5-inch gun. Commanders are 4 1/4. And then once you go beneath, I think it's 4 inches. Then you're talking about a compact or an officer size gun. So, yeah.
And that's chambered in.
This is 45.
45.
Yeah, I'm carrying a 45. Yeah, right now it's all about stop it and power. And 2 world wars and all that. So I switch back and forth between the Rebellion. I actually don't carry this Nero, and the reason is I normally have a light on it, so I have a holster, on my. It's not a duty rig, so I don't do duty, but it's like not a competition rig, but like my, my battle belt. So I have a holster for that. But I almost like this gun too much to carry it, because if something happened, I had to use it, I wouldn't see it for a long, long time. So this is like. This is,
Make a good point.
I carry the Alchemy classic carry, or this Rebellion, because none of these guns have ever given me any problems.
Love it.
Like that's a big thing. I've shot some guns, and I won't name them, but I've shot some, guns that you wouldn't expect to give you problems and get problems from them.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's always the case. You just never know. But I'm so happy to hear that, we have 1, 2, 3, 7 guns here on the table. And I
have more in the case. I brought more. This was all that fit. Yeah. And I've shot every single one except for this one. I'll save that one for last. But yeah, this right here, this is pretty cool. So going back to Cabot.
Yeah.
This is the Gran Torino. So that's stainless steel with polished flats. Harkens back to the Ford Gran Torino.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a Starsky and Hutch gun. Yeah, the stars in the trigger, that's all cut out with a wire EDM. And I'm not like a machinist, but it's like electric discharge machine or something like that. So it uses like a little wire electrode and cuts out the metal one molecule at a time. It doesn't even cut it. It actually just like...
Is it a machine that does that?
Yeah, it just like tells the metal to like piss off and it goes away. I don't know how it works, but it takes a long time to cut those triggers out.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine to begin
like how they machined
they did that. Yeah, because
I've seen it working before. It looks like watching paint dry, but it's.
Oh, does it take a long time?
It takes a long time. Yeah.
That would be cool. Well, you should do like a. What do you call it when?
A time lapse.
Yeah, do a time lapse. That'd be so cool. Yeah, so smooth.
Well, it's so cool too. Like talking about the cool people that work at Cabot, the guys in the gun room. I mean, the guys working on these guns, putting them together. When it comes to Damascus, I'll talk about Damascus in a second.
Yeah.
But like the etching process, like they work with more Damascus steel. I say they work with more meteorite than NASA, because they are working with meteorite all the time. Just chunks of moon. We got moon rock. We actually have some.
That's crazy.
We actually have some Martian dust from like that somehow they got a hold of it, because Martian dust does get onto the moon, and then asteroids hit it, and it flings up. So somehow we have some Martian material that's going to go into a gun.
Like sprinkle it on the...
Somehow. Like whenever we find something that's super rare, we say, let's turn it into a gun. Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's a good transition to the Mammoth.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get to the Mammoth Tooth and all that, because I mean that's pretty special.
It is.
All right, we'll just talk about it. We'll go right there. So this right here, this is the Zebra Damascus. So this is a 1 of 10. It's technically 1 of 20 because we did 2 years, 10 units each.
Okay.
So in 2018 there were 10 units. In 2019 there were 10 units, and it's because of the Damascus pattern. So that slide right there, that's Damascus steel. So it is rolled steel that's heated, twisted, beat together with like machines and hammers. I don't know. It's way beyond my pay grade, but they put it together into a billet, and then we cut the slide out of it. They make the gun, and they have a whole process that they go to make this gun just as reliable out of Damascus steel as stainless or, you know, carbon steel or anything else, just with the process. Because the biggest thing is getting that pattern to pop.
Yeah.
They have to acid etch it. But the thing is, you don't want that acid to touch your breech face. Because if you acid etch your breech face where the round is sitting up against it, things can go wrong too. So there's a whole process to make sure that the acid only etches the parts that they want it to etch. So that gun, those limited editions were $12,500.
Thought it'd be a lot more.
Yeah, well, there's some that are a lot more, but
even with the
Mammoth grips, yeah. So that's Mammoth Tusk. So once again,
I don't know if the camera can just capture this, but I'm trying to do my best at showing it off. But I mean, I don't want to point it towards me, but just the stainless, I mean, accents on here. It's
those are just polished stainless. So when we do you were talking about the veiny gun that was just on Instagram. They're actually roots, which are veins. So I guess you could say that's different.
Okay, yeah.
But like, you know, we don't use machines to polish. It's hand polished. So when you because when you polish something like the flats, for example, if you use a machine, you can actually round out all the edges. And so you have to do everything by hand with either, you know, jeweling cloths on top of granite stones, or like they even have like a little horsehair brush that they use, polishing compound, to make sure that it's polished up to a mirror without rounding everything out. And so like a full polished gun like that one that was on Instagram, that probably took one person 70 hours to polish. Just to do the polish.
Just the polishing.
Just the polishing.
That is nuts.
Yeah. And then that was sent off to Auto Carter here in Texas to engrave.
Okay.
And then the gun itself, since it's carbon steel, you need to coat it with something, otherwise it'll rust.
Yeah.
So then it was sent for DLC. So when you look at it, it looks like it's chrome. It's actually black. It's reflecting the ceiling from where the photo was taken. So that's why it looks kind of chromish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that thing, when you see it in person, is just unbelievable. And all the blue accents, the blue accents are blue PVD, which is another form of it's like an electrolysis process where they shoot lasers. I could be getting this all wrong, but it was explained to me that they shoot lasers at like different types of metals, and the combinations of the metals in a vacuum chamber adhere one molecule at a time to the metal, and that's how they make the colors, by combining different colors. Like gold parts on a gun are normally titanium nitride.
Okay.
So that's titanium with a nitriding process to make it turn gold. It's not actually gold, but it's hard as hell. Yeah. So those are pretty durable finishes.
During the editing, we'll see if we can have our producer put up the photo that got leaked out of the veiny gun, but it's such a beautiful gun. Yeah, the blue accents on that gun, and it's a Cabot, of course, and just it's different, and you'll see why when you see the.
Well, just wait till you see the case. We haven't shown the case yet. The case that it comes in. Normally, I mean, you think about it, like if you have a really nice car, okay, you want to have a nice garage for it to go in. There's a certain, there's a certain ratio of how much money you're going to spend on your garage. On a car to the same thing a case on a really nice gun. So typically you're like, whatever the gun costs, you want to spend like 10 to 15% of the gun cost on a case. Because
I never really thought about that.
Yeah, because the gun is going to live there a lot of its time, and it's going to display it. So there's a lot of different options.
Okay.
And I mean, we did, we've done runs of guns with wood from the USS Constitution.
Oh, crazy.
Have you ever looked into that, by the way, the USS Constitution?
No.
The Navy actually has its own forest.
Really?
That the Navy has maintained the same forest, the same grove of trees for the last 200 years.
Holy shit.
Because the Constitution was commissioned back in the 1800s or whenever it was. It could be the 1700s. Whenever it was it's the longest running commissioned warship by far. But whenever they need to do work on it, they use the same trees, genetically the same trees from the same grove that the Navy oversees. So the wood from the Constitution, when it's used up, we got some of that and put it into cases for guns.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
well, of course, yeah. I mean, why not? It's Cabot. Makes sense.
You know, it's just it's what we do.
Yeah.
This is cool. If you're into steel and machining, this is going to really show off the level of machining, because when you take away caulking serrations, you take away finishing, you take away anything, you're going to be left with the ultimate expression of what the machinists are doing, the tolerances that are put in.
Yeah.
And so that's the icon right there. So that the grips are stainless, the frame is stainless, everything's stainless except for the trigger itself, which is aluminum. So
this is significantly heavier.
Because it's the grips, the front sight is stainless, the rear sight is stainless. You know, carbon steel is about the same, you know, weight, you know, mass ratio, but it's really the grips. Those grips add a lot. Oh, I was going to tell you about why our guns are so hard to caulk, and it's for that accuracy. So in order to have an accurate gun, everything needs to be in the same place for every single shot. And the only way you're going to get that is if the frame rails are straight and aligned with the slide, which isn't as much for accuracy as far as, you know, the barrel, but it's going to make sure that the gun is hitting the same spot every single time.
Okay.
But the barrel has locking lugs that are in the top of the slide here that's pushed up into the lugs with the barrel link.
Yeah.
That is perfectly mated to the slide stop, and then the barrel and the bushing on the front and the bushing in the slide all have to be mated together perfectly to exact tolerances in order to produce accuracy. So sometimes, you know, I've seen manufacturers of other guns, and they'll say, oh yeah, this gun, and it's a Glock. Yeah. This gun will do, you know, 1 inch, or actually I saw someone say ½ inch at 30 yards. I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, honestly, maybe a 4-inch barrel can do that, maybe on a good day. But in order to create the type of mechanical vice to make that happen every single time, you know, it's the Glock design just isn't made to do that. No. But these, we do that. And we actually, on the Alchemies and the Cabots, if you order the 1-inch guarantee, a test target is provided with the date, the ammo used, and the test target's actually fired from a ransom rest at 25 yards to prove it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And they'll send that with?
They send that with
the
it.
gun?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you know, you'll get a lot of guns that, you know, come with a test target.
Yeah.
Well, that's just to prove that the gun went bang.
It fired.
It fired, okay? The test targets that are provided are to prove accuracy.
Yeah, accuracy.
Yeah. This is cool, too. This is going to be like a, you know, flash to, I guess you could say, the 60s with that two-tone. So that's an Alchemy. So, again, that's the Brimstone, which is an officer frame, which is a chopped frame, so you lose a round in capacity with a commander slide. So to have the most reliable functioning 1911, like 4 1/4 is probably the shortest I go. I've seen people go shorter on barrels, but you need to shorten the cycle. And if the gun isn't doing a full cycle, it's ejecting that old round and getting that new one into the chamber. I mean, you're going to have all kinds of issues with it. So this is the best of both worlds. You're having a shorter grip with the, you know, really the shortest slide. I mean, you could go a little shorter. You could go full officer on it, and there've obviously been some super reliable guns there. But, you know.
This grip feels really good.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Alchemies, they've got comfort carry checkering. So if you're looking at the checkering on the front strap and the mainspring housing, it's 24 LPI, I think, which is lines per inch. So it's like right there on the border of like grippy and tear up your hands.
Yeah.
But the vertical lines of checkering don't go around the side. So you don't really need the vertical lines on the side. You only need them on the front. So it's kind of a cool different thing that that once again Shaolin came up with. And
Yeah, I like it. I really like it. It feels good. Good weight.
Yeah, it's like Preparation H. It feels good on the whole.
Yeah.
I've used that joke so many times. It's the worst.
It makes sense though.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's just, working in the gun industry has just been, it's been kind of a dream come true, because I've always been into firearms. I used to live in California.
Yep.
So living in California and working with people that may not share your affinity for freedom, liberty, life, anything that's not socialism and SJW stuff.
Yeah.
It's tough, but when you start working in the firearm industry, you realize that everybody, has the same, for the most part, the same belief in freedom, personal responsibility, limited government, all that. So it's a freaking blast, man.
You moved to the appropriate state for that.
I moved to the perfect state, and I fell in with the right people, and dude, it's just been.
How long have you been here in Texas?
2 years.
You're still fresh, but
yeah, but the funny thing is, I move in, and everybody's expecting the Californians to be like, California, hey dude, and I already had more guns than most Texans. They were just all California legal, and now that my horizons are open and I don't have the communist restrictions of that state.
Yeah.
Dude, I got some cool stuff.
I bet you do.
So I've got my own FFL now, my own SOT.
Perfect.
So, don't give anyone my address or nothing like that, but it's the coolest thing because I just get guns mailed to me and suppressors, short-barreled rifles, all the stuff that I think everybody should be allowed to just have them mailed to their house. Like, I want an Amazon for guns. Like, you just open up your box like, oh, man, that's a new can.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted that can, and now that can is right here, and I don't have to wait for my tax stamp.
I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, get your SOT, get your FFL, become a federal firearms licensee, so you're a dealer, and then you just pay every year $500 for your SOT, your special occupation tax.
Yep.
And, man, you are in business.
Yeah. And then is there different... Is there like just SOT or is there different levels?
No, so it depends on what kind of FFL you get. So where I live, I was only able to get my dealer's license, my 01. Okay. So I'm a dealer. If you become an 07, which is a manufacturer,
that's different. Yeah,
that's different. So that's harder to get because there's a lot of local guidelines, and when they think gun manufacturer, they're going to think like black smoke in a factory and stuff like that. Most 07s are small. In fact, I'll bring out a gun that was made by a small 07 right here in Frisco, Texas. I'll bring that out in just a second so you can see what that's all about.
That's a surprise you got.
That's a surprise I got. But it's so cool because there's so many people that are making really cool guns. Yeah. And I love to help guys that are just in that, growing phase that don't have marketing budgets of Glock and Sig and what used to be Remington before they went into bankruptcy. Whatever, like all these big companies, Kimber. People don't realize Kimber makes a crap ton of guns. They make tens and tens of thousands of guns, not just 1911's that work with so-so reliability.
Yeah, that's one 1911 that I can honestly say it's a beautiful looking gun, but all the Kimbers that I've fired, unfortunately, have had some issue with it. And it's more than once. And unfortunately, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, that's the thing about 1911s. Like, that's why Gaston Glock, his design was so revolutionary because he made it pretty simple. It's not as simple as like people realize, but it's pretty simple, and that simplicity lends itself to reliability. The 1911, I think, is just about as simple personally. Yeah. But the angles, everything needs to be in just the right order for it to work properly. And I know some people knock that, but for me, it is when it's all working together, and like Cabot Alchemy, like they always do. There's another company here in Texas, Triarch. They make 2011s. Like, I carry one of their 2011s a lot of the times. I've used it in competitions. I've got actually a few of their guns. And those guns, I trust 100%.
That's good.
I trust them. Like, I would trust any of these guns to carry. I trust a Triarch to carry. And that's the thing for me is if I don't trust it, I won't carry it. And if I don't trust it, I don't sell it. Yeah, like that's a big thing for me because if it's not something that I would say, yes, this is I have a backpack gun. Okay, like I think everyone should have a backpack gun.
Yep.
And my backpack gun is a gun that I trust implicitly 100%.
Also Triarch.
No, it's a. I'll show you. I'll show you what it is sort of. I brought an iteration. My backpack's in my van. I could go get my backpack gun if you want to see my backpack gun. It's got a can on it. It's pretty cool. Folds up into a backpack. But yeah, I've got an iteration of my backpack gun here.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. How'd you get into guns?
So I grew up in Northern California, and my dad always had guns. We had, in fact, he had a snubby 357.
So my dad as well.
Yeah. It wasn't hammerless, but he had a snubby 357. He had a Ruger Mark II 22 and some other guns. I don't even remember what it was, but just your 22 rifle. So we didn't have a lot of guns or even any really good guns, but we always had them. And he was always cool. Like he showed me safety. I understood it.
Yep.
And he had that trust in me to where we had 14 acres, and if I wanted to go shoot stuff, like I'd just go shoot stuff. Nice. I mean, picture, a young teen walking around with a snubby 357, just shooting and being safe, but shooting and all that. So for me, it was never a big thing because like I understood the 4 basic rules of gun safety, and if you follow those 4 basic rules, it's very, very difficult to have an accident.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into it. Living in California, I only had access to crappy guns. So the first gun I ever bought was a Springfield XD subcompact in 40 Smith & Wesson, or I call it 40 short and weak. I hated that gun, and I got it because the guy at the gun shop recommended it to me.
Yeah.
And that I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson like 3 guns later. But because I shot it like a handful of times. I actually traded it here in Texas. I went to a pawn shop and I traded it for a 22 for my kids.
Crazy.
I couldn't sell it for enough money to buy a box of ammo. So I was like, I'm gonna trade it, and I didn't tell my wife this, but I had to give the guy $100 to get the 22. Like he wasn't going to give me any money for that Springfield for that XD.
They're all over the place. So many people have them. I've never owned one of those, but they're super popular with probably the same scenario. They go to the whatever gun store or whatever gun show, and they say, here's one of the popular guns, and this is going to they don't even talk about fitment. They don't talk about what you're used to and because typically you're not at a range, but a lot of people carry those.
I'll say, so the XD series, I've always hated, personally, but they're Rob Shawland that designed, the Alchemies and all that. He worked for Springfield. He worked in their custom shop. So they're 1911's. I've always loved Springfield 1911's.
Yeah.
Their TRP is a super cool gun. The XDs just were, unfortunate, I think. But then they came out with the new subcompact, the Hellcat, and like people are really raving about that. Now, remember, that's a Croatian gun, so they're not making those here; they're making them in Croatia.
Gotcha.
That's why they're able to make that gun at that price. And that's the other thing too, like the economics of manufacturing pistols and selling them fascinate me. When I see any gun under $1,000, knowing what goes into making a good gun in the U.S., I go, how the hell are they doing that? Even talking about like Staccato here in Texas, like how do they make their 2011s, the staccatos? Like I'm still confused on if it's like the P, okay?
Right.
Is the company Staccato and the gun is the P, or is it the staccato P? Like I'm confused.
That was the first one. I'm the same.
So it's a P.
Yeah.
So like if you say, what are you carrying today? They say, I'm carrying my P. Like
only a staccato person would.
Only a staccato person would know that like the P.
Right.
Yeah. And so I don't know that kind of but it's a great gun for $1,999, $2,000 for a 2011. And I know people are going to look at me and think like I'm a total snob, but honestly, $2,000. There's other guns that come from Israel. Bull Armory. I've reviewed and shot a lot of their guns. I've sold a bunch of them. I can't get any right now because they're shut down. Their 2011 start at like $1,350. It's a fantastic gun for $1,350, but that's because they're making it overseas and they use parts in it that are called metal injection molded. So it's basically a type of molding process to make the parts really complex, really intricate parts. very, very well. But the Israelis know how to do that stuff.
Right.
Kimber uses metal injection molding on almost the entire gun. Like if you look at it, there's little holes. Like did you ever make plastic models when you were growing up? And you know how like the mold, like you'd have to break it out.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, so like a little
and
piece
the little nipples. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you look all over at Kimber, you're gonna see little nipples all over it, and that's where it came out of the mold.
Interesting.
Well, that's why they break so much, is because those parts, when they're molding them, it's not the Israeli method of MIM.
Okay.
So it just doesn't come out as well. So the Israeli guns, the MIM parts, I've never had problems with it. And, you know, like that's, you know, people are going to say, oh, well, yeah, you sell them. Of course you support it. Well, the only reason I support it is because I haven't had problems.
Right.
If I have problems, I'm out.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I'm done. Like, I always give people the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, look, you know, can you fix this? Is this something? But if it ends up being a widespread issue, like, I'm out. This is not, you know, for me, guns aren't just to be looked at, even though, yeah, this is $12,500. This also needs to be 100% reliable for me.
Yeah. And it's...
I take it back. You know, I lied earlier. I said I've never had problems with a Cabot. I've had problems with a Cabot, and it was because the barrel was shot out. So, meaning it was a demo gun, and it had been used so many times over the years that the chambering was off, so we had to rebarrel. Once we rebarreled the gun, ran like a sewing machine.
It was fine.
Yeah.
And what was the malfunction on it? Just...
Oh, you just have failure to extract.
Okay.
Yeah, because you once, you know, if the barreling is wrong, if the the chambering is wrong.
Yeah.
You know, the chamber depth is wrong, the round seat's in there the wrong, you know, depth, the hook can't grab it and eject it. So then it became a jam-o-matic. But once it was rebarreled, but that's because that was an old demo gun that had just been run for a long, long time. You know, they don't last forever, but they can last a really friggin' long time if you take care of them, which I don't, but I do my best. And then when parts wear out, you just put new parts in them. But you have an experienced gunsmith do it. Like that's the big thing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And you know, when you get a Cabot, you probably are going to have other guns besides that one. So it's not going to be your main, you know, range gun, so to speak. And you know, if it has issues.
Man, I just mangled this cigar. Like I'm a novice. I'm like a
salvageable.
Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but like, you know, I work for gun companies, but I'm an average shooter. Like I'm sitting here smoking a cigar. I'm mangling it. Like I do everything wrong, but I do it with intensity. I think maybe that's or with the right heart. I do it with the right heart. I'm the guy that does everything wrong, and they say, but you know what? Bless his heart. His heart's in the right place. He doesn't know how to shoot, but man, he really has a good heart. You know. I'm the pity case for all these things.
Yeah, that's a Texas term, so to speak. When people say bless your heart, you know the meaning behind that?
It means you're an idiot.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, bless your heart.
Exactly.
You dumbass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for those of us.
So I've heard. So obviously I've heard it a few times, you know, and now I understand what that's all about.
Yeah, this person's being sweet to me. No, not really. If it comes from a grandma, then maybe.
Maybe it's nice.
It's genuine, but yeah.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, Cabot customers. So, I mean, here's the other thing, too. So, like, someone who has a Cabot is probably going to want an Alchemy as well because it's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the Alchemy buyers, like, they really understand the 1911.
Yep.
And they understand the history of it. They know about Rob Shallon because he's, like, you know, he's what does he call himself? No, he doesn't call himself that. I'm joking, but you know, he's like a living legend, okay, in the gunsmithing world. If you bring up his name, people go, okay, that dude knows what
he's doing. Yeah.
And so that's where the Alchemy stuff is in the Cabot. It looks nice and it runs amazing, and it's like that next echelon of whatever you want, you can get. Yeah. So like, there's only a limited option array on the Alchemies. Just because otherwise we can't make them. Like an Alchemy right now starts at $25.95, which, like honestly, and I accidentally I was at a dealer, and I was showing off Alchemies and Cabots, and this guy comes up to me. It was a dealer grand opening here in the DFW area, and this nice guy comes up to me. He's got Wilson combat gear on, and I'm like, oh, cool, man. Like, you know, people love wearing their gear. Like, I got my Cabot sweatshirt on with the ash on it and all that. So this guy's got Wilson gear on, and he comes up, he goes, I've been hearing about these Alchemies. What's the deal? And I'm like, I go, well, here's, this is an amazing gun, yada, yada. And he's talking about all this stuff. And I go, this is like, a Wilson Combat super grade, because I saw that he had the Wilson Combat on. Like, it's like a super grade from like 10 years ago.
Okay.
But they start at $2,500. Like the polished flats, the attention to detail, the gunsmithing, the knowledge, and the care that goes into each one.
Right.
And he's like, oh, interesting. Because the super grades, like they're not even really doing many super grades right now. And I get it. There's no how can you make money? It's hard to make money in this echelon. Okay, like if you can make ARs, you're making money out your butt, and everybody makes AR parts. Yep. You can take SIGs and you can take a 320 and put a new plastic grip module on it and call it a day. Like, dude, sign me up for that if you're in to make money. Right. Like that's the way to make money. So anyway, I was like, but this is picking up where kind of that left off. And he looks at it and he goes, oh, and I go, and we use such and such extractor because it's really reliable. He goes, well, I really like my bulletproof extractor. I'm like, I'm like, my bulletproof extractor? I'm like, well, that's Wilson Combat's bulletproof extractor. Like, why are you calling it mine? I'm like, that's weird. So anyway, next day I see on Instagram, the dealer posts a photo and says, the great Bill Wilson came and visited our shop for the grand opening. I just told Bill Wilson our guns were better than his and that his extractor sucked. So,
you're like, my extractor, okay.
Yeah, he's whatever, like, he was literally talking about
his.
My extractor, yes. Like it was his. And so I am not expecting a call from Wilson Combat ever to say, hey.
Well, I would like to think that guys like that want to have those conversations, and if there's something better.
He was so nice, such a nice guy.
Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe you will get a call from him and say, "Hey, let's talk."
I bet you he forgot about it because he's retired in Arkansas, man, dude. And he's got a ranch here in Texas.
Yeah,
he's good. He's like, I think he tells his son, make all the ARs and crap you want because the money just keeps on coming. Like, dude, whatever. But the thing is, like, when you build a brand like that, there's so much you can do in brand building. Like, you have to do it right.
Yep.
And there's so many companies, when they get to a certain stage, they go from making a really good product to like cutting corners for a buck. And Cabot and Alchemy have not done that. They continue to do stuff the wrong way business-wise, but the right way production-wise because it's the way.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to pull like a Mandalorian, but like this is the way. Like it is the way that they do it, and it is expensive. It's more expensive. It's harder, but it's the way. And I don't even want to say it's the right way. It's the way they've chosen to do it.
Yeah. And
they're not going to change it just because there's a cheaper way.
Well, I'll date myself by saying you get what you pay for.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I've always gone by that mantra. Growing up, and you learn your lessons and vehicles that you buy, whatever, TVs, or even, appliances throughout the house, right? It's the particular brands that that will sustain the lifespan.
Well, and I say like buy once, cry once.
Yeah,
like
that's another good mantra.
That's a big thing, especially when it comes to firearms. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go and spend $4,000 on a gun. There are plenty of guns that are perfectly acceptable. I mean, whenever someone calls me and they say I'm looking for my first gun, because people ask me that all the time. You know what I tell them?
Yeah.
Glock 19.
Yeah.
Gen 3 if you can get it. Gen 3 or Gen 5. Yeah. Okay.
First time shooters. Yeah, that's perfect.
And you know what happens? They buy something else.
Shit.
Yeah, one guy, he calls me, he goes, hey, he goes, you're going to be so proud of me. I got a Glock 17. I was like, I don't think you can count. Because I said a Glock 19. He goes, no, I'm bigger. So I wanted the 17. I go, but you told me you wanted something to carry, right? Like, you're not that big, my friend.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks later, he goes, oh, man, I'm trying to sell my 17 to get a 19. He's in California, okay? Yeah. And I'm like, dude, you're not getting a 19 there right now.
Yeah.
And keep your 17. Like, don't sell a gun. Like, the only guns I've ever sold, I'm actually in a paring down phase right now because I'm going down to, like, the guns that I will own forever and that are my number one trusted purpose-built guns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And by paring down, I mean I'm, like, at 40. I'm down to 40. So my kids, they walk into my office and they count, like, what you got. But, like...
Pegboards?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. But that's like there's purposes behind everything.
Yeah.
So no, but buy once, cry once. Like rifles, you can get really good BCM stuff is good. Mm-hmm. If you're really like, that's kind of the entry point that I would get into a rifle is like BCM.
Yeah.
Spikes makes a really good rifle. They make some questionable decisions on design.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Some of their lowers, I'm like, dude, this is a gun. But people love the meme stuff too.
Yeah.
So I like spikes. I like BCM. But if you're really going buy once, cry once, I like Triarch rifles here in Texas. There's another company in Michigan, Type A. And, I haven't shot the Type A's yet, but my good friend has. But I have a dealer order with them because he talked about them and how they are. So I can't wait to get these guns in because like they run like sewing machines and you can tune them. You can tune the gas block for your suppressor and tune it just right. So adjustable gas blocks, like all this stuff, it's about having a good gun, but good customer service. These guys, when I email them, they email me right away.
That's super important. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially like you mentioned earlier, I mean, everyone's backlogged. But what does it take to answer an email, right? Sometimes
it can take a lot.
Well,
like I get emails all the time. Like these guns, they take a year plus.
Sure.
So I get a lot of emails on updates and orders, but I try to get back to people within 30 minutes with something. I might not have an answer, but at least to say, hey, I got your email.
As a consumer, that's all we ask, and 30 minutes is like phenomenal. I mean, typically, if it's something that I know that's backlogged, 24, 48 hours, I'm good with a return.
Yeah.
Email on that, but
nowadays I've emailed companies and never heard back. That I've given them money.
Yes.
And I've paid 100% in full. Like that's what chaps my ass.
Yes.
So we'll talk about gun gripes is just ghosting people because you're too busy. I get it.
Yeah.
But the consumer thinks that you think you're too cool. Yeah. Even though you're busy, I get that you're working your ass off behind the scenes. There's supply chain issues. The government sucks. All that stuff sucks, but if you look like you're doing well, and it's because, and you are doing well, it's because of your customer base.
Yeah.
Hire somebody to answer the emails. Hire somebody.
Yeah.
They even get an autoresponder that says, "Hey, we got your email. We appreciate it. We promise we'll get back." Like you do that and get back to me in 3 days. I don't give a crap.
Yeah.
Like at least I know my email got to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, a good buddy of mine, Jeremy Daughtery, he owns Vulcan Machine Works. He does customization of,
Yep.
And so I don't know if you follow him.
I know him.
Okay. Well.
Yeah. I have. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I keep on interrupting. I get excited, but yeah.
Please do. He put out a post today. It was a picture, and he, of course, he covered all the names and everything. But the guy sent him his gun. He was going to have some work done on it, maybe slide cuts and maybe an optic put on. But he said, "Bro, you've had my gun for a month already. I want it back, and I want a refund. And it's been a month. I can't believe." And
the serial numbers better match.
Exactly. Yeah, and like, okay, first of all, I mean, don't be like that. Don't say. And it's a month. It's like everyone's backlogged.
Dude, a month? Like, I saw that and I laughed, okay?
Yeah.
And so I got, when I first moved here, I took my 19 Gen 3, which is all you could get in California. So Glock still makes the Gen 3s just for California.
Okay.
Because it's such a big market and there's a roster there. And I actually think it's a better gun in a lot of ways. 5s are really good. It's better than a 4. But so I took it to get milled just for an RMR cut.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you need to Cerakote it once you break through the DLC anyway. So for Cerakote and an optic cut, and this was 2 years ago when the market was pretty slow.
Yeah.
It took me 2.5 months to get it, and I was happy.
Through Jeremy?
No, through somebody else. Through somebody else. But that's
in California.
No, it's here in Texas.
Oh, here? Okay.
Yeah. And the thing is, that's how long it takes to get it in, to get in line, to machine it. Like, you don't want some dude with a Dremel and a hand lathe doing that crap. Like, it turns out horrible. We call it gunsmithing, okay? with an F, dude. It turns out so bad. Like, you want the right people doing it. I've met Jeremy. I went to his shop, and once again, like, one of the most genuine, nice dudes I've ever met. He's making he showed him on Instagram, so I can talk about it, but he's making base plates for 2011s, okay? Because my big gripe about 2011s is the old school, the old magazine, the base plate. They put this Texas thing on the bottom, and the pin that holds the base plate on is a star. Well, it's a giant star, which is cool.
Yeah.
Except when you do a mag change, if you drop that magazine and anything hits that star, your magazine explodes.
Oh,
okay.
Shit.
And you lose your follower, your spring. The base plate's fine, but everything else. And so he's making aluminum ones that solve that problem for the old magazine. Staccato has since made aluminum base plate standard. I give them props. They include 3 mags on those Staccatos, which I don't know. I know how they afford it because they're the company. Like they can do whatever they want.
Right.
But like those mags, like that's $45 retail. So just to give you an idea, when you're making a gun, if something costs you $45 and you're offering 3, okay?
Yeah.
So now you're at $135. In order to make any money with dealers, you need to have a 3x multiple on that.
Yeah.
So that means that those mags adding 3 mags to a gun that cost you $135 is now going to be $270. That's going to increase your gun's cost by almost $300 freaking dollars just to offer 3 mags.
Yeah.
So I mean that's the economics of it that blow me away that anybody makes any money. Like, this is $4,500, but the margins are super slim. This is $12,500. The margins are still super slim because there's only so many freaking woolly mammoths, in Alaska to get that from, and only so much Damascus steel, and it's a pain in the ass to machine.
Yeah.
So it boggles my mind just that anybody gets something. But yeah, Jeremy at Vulcan, awesome dude, has a great shop, does awesome work. I love his stack ports that he's doing on the Staccatos, porting those barrels. That's hard too.
Yep.
Like you can't just drill a hole in a barrel. Like you have to burn it. So you got to use a special machine to burn the hole in so it doesn't mess with the rifling and screw it up. So the fact that he did that, props on him. We did a ported gun on Cabot. We did some ports on it. We called it we have a gentleman's carry. I have one of those there, but we called it the belligerent gentleman because it's got 2 ports and it spits fire out the ports.
Oh, shit.
We did them out to the side because when you do them up to the top, it obscures your sight picture.
Yeah.
For a second, it's not bad, but we just wanted it out the side so you can kind of get this V as you're looking down it.
Oh, cool.
Which is cool. It's more about looks.
Yeah.
But it's still, it's a ported 45, which is not, you don't really need to port 45. It's not going to do a whole lot, but it's still super flat. But I love it. So big props to him for doing that on the Staccatos because it's a great gun, but it's a production gun. So anything someone can do to make it better, I'm all about for sure.
Yep, definitely.
This is a good cigar, by the way. And out of the 2 cigars that I smoke every year, this is definitely the best. So shout out to ICC. It's the ICC cigar.
Yeah, that's their house stick. Yeah.
No, this is good. Like I'm gonna finish this. I don't normally finish a cigar.
They'll appreciate that for sure.
I will finish this.
Heck yeah. I'll pour myself a little bit of tequila when we're waiting
so get
here.
some of that. Get a little bit of bourbon going. Now, can I show you something?
Yeah,
All
please.
Right. I'm gonna go over here. And I'm gonna bring out. This right here, this is, I can't even see. Okay. So, this right here is the RL9. I'll take the sling off so we're not having a problem.
Cool.
So this is the RL9 from Revolutionary Roller Locks in Frisco, Texas.
What the hell?
So this is an MP5, a H&K MP5 clone, but made right here in Texas.
No shit.
So the HK, once again, it's an old design. And the thing is, like, old designs, everything old is new again, okay?
Yeah, you're right.
Like the 1911, this is 109 years old. I still think it's the best. Like, accuracy, trigger, you can't get a striker fire gun to feel that good. You can't get them as accurate. And, you're going to have all kinds of people saying, oh, yes, you can. And, they can DM me and I'll ignore them. But then again, this is another, 60s designed gun, 50s and 60s. H&K designed this as a sub gun. And this is not full auto, even though it does say full auto. So ATF, this is not full auto. Just making sure you guys are aware. It's just using, the only thing that's not American made is the trigger pack. So that is a surplus trigger pack and the housing, the trigger housing. Yeah. So that's why it has the F for me to feel cool. But yeah, made right here in Texas. So
That's
nice, that's an MP5 clone. And the reason I love the MP5, do you have any 9mm ARs?
I don't.
Have you ever shot one?
Yes.
Okay. What did you think?
I loved it.
Cool. I hate them.
Okay.
Because the AR design was designed to be gas blowback.
Yeah, yeah.
And for the 9s are all direct. It's a direct blowback.
You're right. Yeah.
So you have a much bigger bolt. The bolt is twice the size, twice the weight, just about.
Yeah.
And all of that is coming back. I have more recoil from a 9mm AR than 5.56 because the 5.56 you can tune, it's gassed, all that stuff. So this 9mm, it's a roller delayed blowback action. Go to Forgotten Weapons and look at his stuff on it. He'll explain why it's so cool. But it just is so pull that back, put it up, and now when you put the magazine in, slap that down. So magazine in, slap it down. That's the AK slap, or the HK slap. Yeah, not the AK slap. That's something different. But that gun I took out today. So I custom ordered that, and they weld up the gun itself, the receiver. So that's all welded here. That top rail. This is what's so cool. This top rail. So normally on HKs, on MP5s, you're gonna have your diopter back here, your rear sight that you twist for your different windage. There you go. It's like your different distances and all that stuff, not windage. So 4 is the smallest aperture. You look through here, that's for distance shooting. The first one, the 1, that's for shooting close up. That's fine, but I use red dots. Right. So the rail normally on HKs and MP5s, there's no rail, or the rail is added on. Right. Okay, but the front of it has these really sharp corners. So when you do your slap, when you put your magazine in, seat it, and slap it right there, okay, people are always like cutting their hands up and all that. So this top rail design is a unified design, meaning the diopter is built into the rail, so the whole thing is perfectly straight. And this is also made here in Texas by a veteran. Oh, nice. So a veteran machines this himself to make this rail piece. It's all welded on, and then put my Triarch SRO on top of that with a co-witness, so I can use both. It's a pistol right now, ATF. This is still a pistol. Okay, I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna have it turned into an SBR, and then I'll put a folding brace on it to make a really cool folding stock for it. Yeah. But this when you shoot a gun that was designed to be 9mm. Instead of one that was modified to be 9mm, like an AR, you'll understand why this. Okay. The B&Ts are super smooth because that's a similar version. They have like a whole hydraulic system in it that's way beyond my pay grade of understanding. Yeah. But that makes a sub gun so much better. So
is this a version of your backpack gun?
Yeah, my backpack gun is one of these. Suppressed. But it's the K. Well, so I could put the suppressor on. I was shooting it today with the suppressor. It's got a tri-lug. Yeah. So I use the Dead Air Wolfman, so the Wolfman with a tri-lug adapter, and it's tunable, so it has 2 lengths, long and short. Okay. So I put the shorty version on it, but my backpack gun is the same thing, but it's an MP5K clone. The K is for Kurz, which is short in German. Okay. So the barrel is half the length, and the receiver itself, the gun is a little shorter, the bolt's shorter, everything's shorter inside. So it's a shorter gun. Okay. So it fits in when I fold it up and everything and put it into a backpack with the suppressor on. It fits.
Even with the suppressor.
With the can on, it fits in my backpack. So I bring it out, charge it up, flip it out, I'm ready to rock and roll.
Crazy.
Yeah. So these are just, this is what special forces have used. Obviously, the Germans have used them for a long, long time. You see videos of and photos of the Secret Service with the full auto versions of these. Yep. A lot of police departments have used them and still use them to this day because it is just a very good close quarters combat gun. Yeah. And when you shoot it with a suppressor on it, if you're using the right ammo, it is so quiet. Really? Like my cameraman today was like, that is scary quiet. Like if you're shooting that with...
Take off here.
Oh, if you're shooting it, like the sound of the bullet impacting the berm, I was hitting steel... And I was like, listen to this. The sound of the bullet impacting the berm was louder than the actual report from the bullet.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I was shooting almost subsonic ammo. It was probably subsonic in the conditions today. It was like 1150, so it's right there.
Okay.
It's right there at the border of subsonic, but with the conditions today and the suppressor is probably slowing it down, so it wasn't making that crack.
Yeah.
But then I shot some NATO ammo that's definitely supersonic, and it was still unbelievably quiet.
Wow.
So these right here, Revolutionary Roller Locks, the RL9, they make a very, very good gun right here in Texas. And like normally these guns are put together from like parts kits, so you get disassembled other guns, surplus parts, and make them. But there's companies in Arizona that are making the bolts, which is a very important integral part. Making the flats, the receiver flats. So being able to make almost this entire gun in the U.S. is pretty cool. So they're doing that.
Right here in Frisco.
Right here in Frisco.
That is nuts.
Yeah, so once again, you're talking just, a standard one is like $2,700.
Yeah.
Which when you're looking at a BNT, you're going to be very close to that for a BNT.
Yep.
This is more iconic, I think, but I like BNTs. Like I'm not saying I'm not going to get a BNT.
Right.
Okay. Like that's definitely going to be one of the must-have guns, but to have something that's made right here, and you can accessorize these too. Like you can put a mag pull foregrip with with M-lock, so you can put your lights on it and all that.
Yeah.
And see, I like expensive guns.
Yeah.
But I will go cheap in some places. So like this mount here, this is a UTG mount. So this is like a $15 mount. I know ScalarWorks makes like a really nice, $150 one, but they're all out of stock right now. And so these I can buy on Amazon and have next day. So you look at the whole gun, you go, wow, that's a $3,000, $3,500 setup with a $14 mount. Well, I'm sorry, that's the only mount that I can get right now.
Yeah, for the time being.
It's acceptable. Yeah, I probably won't put the ScalarWorks on here. I mispronounce things all the time. That's why I call it B&T.
Yeah.
Because if I tried to say Ruger and Thormet,
B&T is fine.
yeah, I'd screw it up. I don't even say Heckler and Koch because
H&K.
H&K, because I will screw that up too.
Yeah, same.
So this is a very cool gun.
That is very cool, yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much that you can do. But yeah, for my backpack gun, I have another backpack gun on the way, which is
that?
Maxim Defense. Makes the PDX. I'm 100% certain this went out again. I keep on doing this. But the Maxim Defense PDX, I bought it, so it's an AR. And talking about guns designed for one round and you're bastardizing them for a different round, I break my rule on this one. So it's a very short PDX, which is a take on PDW, personal defense weapon.
Yeah.
So it's an AR-15 pattern gun, but I'm getting them all in 7.62.
Okay.
Which normally is a no-no.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to have as much longer range accuracy. It's a much heavier bullet, all that stuff.
Right.
But it's only for shooting out to 100 yards. It's my new backpack gun when it comes in. And I want 7.62 because 7.62 right now, I can get Golden Tiger for 35 cents a round. And I can be...
Holy shit.
I'm not going to tell you where. Apparently you don't know the secrets.
No.
But yeah, I mean, Golden Tiger, 35 cents. I think the last order was like 42 cents a round.
But nowadays...
It's Russian ammo. And it's all lacquered. Like I love shooting 7.62.
Yeah.
So I don't have any 300 blackout because 300 blackout's too expensive. And it's like for me, it's only if you're shooting suppressed. Do you even care?
Right.
So sorry, man. I'm rambling on, but
no, this is perfect.
You get me talking about guns, dude. There's like
that's exactly what we're here for. We're talking about guns, smoking them cigars, and I love it. Yeah, this is where we're at.
Mm-hmm. Well, what else? What else can we talk about? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, let's talk about DEF CON Creative.
Well, DEF CON Creative is kind of interesting because, when I started doing it, it was called Morrow Marketing, which was so lame because that's my last name. But it's because I was working with companies that were looking for marketing, web design, SEO.
Mm-hmm. It was a good start. I mean, that's where you started.
That's where I started. But I worked with companies that were super boring to me, like chemical companies and all this stuff, stuff I didn't care about.
Yeah.
And honestly, I had a dream one night, And the dream, it was after I moved here to Texas, and I started doing the marketing stuff because I sold vitamins. Like, I'm, MLMs, like multi-level marketing. Yeah. So I've done that for 11 years. I've got an organization still in California, rocking it out, selling vitamins.
You're still getting the residuals?
Oh yeah, dude.
Perfect.
Yeah, I get a great residual, dude. I mean, like, that's the dream.
Yeah.
When I was really working it, I told people I'm doing this so that I don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, I still get a pretty kick-ass residual.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's what let me move here.
Perfect.
But I was like, I want to do something else. And I was working with companies, and I didn't like any of what they did.
Yeah.
I couldn't be myself. I had to be like,
yeah,
I had to be professional and, polite. No, I'm just kidding. But, like all these things that that you have to do.
Fake.
You have to be fake.
Basically, yeah.
And then also, like, I was afraid that they'd I'd get, blown up on social media one day for saying the wrong anti-social justice stuff.
Yeah.
And clients would drop you. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I had a dream one night that I needed to change the name of my company and work for gun company. So I changed the name the next day. I rebranded, did the whole thing for the DBA. And that it was literally within a day, Cabot Guns reached out to me.
That's crazy.
And then it went from there. So,
wow.
and I was doing social media, website development, search engine optimization, but then it came down to, I realized I really liked the gun industry. I was fascinated by it. Yeah. And also I realized that it's pretty easy to see, and I don't want to say easy, but it's pretty simple to see where the market's going. Mm-hmm. And it's the market broadcasts itself in the gun industry.
Yeah.
You can see the trends and where they're happening. And if you have somebody that is paying attention and a company that's willing to capitalize on that, you can do well. And so, went from there. The Nero, this was my first attempt at capturing the market, and this is one of the best-selling models. Like, hands down. Crazy. And, it was a Photoshop. Photoshopped it, and it's here.
From pictures to reality. Mm-hmm. That's perfect.
Yeah, so it's the gun industry is pretty simple. There's a lot of complexities in it, but when you understand and when you provide good customer service and sales support, like that's the next thing. So things were going along, and I'm like, well, hey, who's doing the sales for you? And it was like the CEO and the COO who need to be doing other things. They were
doing the sales.
They were taking care of all the sales, and I'm like, because the sales guy that was there had left, and they hadn't found a guy that could do it. I was like, well, look, I have extra capacity. I'll help you with that. So I became the sales guy for Cabot and Alchemy. So if you go to the website and you submit a thing, or you go on the social media, it's me.
Right.
Because I wanted to provide good customer service and help them convert all the exposure that they had been getting into business. Yeah, and I also thought about it, like once I met everybody in the gun room, all the gunsmiths, I'm like, well, I want these guys to have a job forever. Yeah. Like, they're cool, so how can I support that? Like, this is a mission that I can get behind, mission oriented. So,
Along the same lines, that's why I started Cigars and Guns. Going back to when you were talking about your dad, my dad was a police officer, detective for the El Paso Police Department, and again, learned safety and grew up with guns, as a child. I'd go hunting with my cousins, and again, learning that safety of guns, and then I appreciated the camaraderie that you gain from here, and then. And I've told the story before, but the day I turned 18, I bought cigars. I went, and they weren't the best cigars and whatever it was, but Swisher Sweets, and I liked the camaraderie and just the conversations that you have and the allure of smoking a cigar, and then putting the two together. I had a group of buddies that we would always go hunting in San Antonio. We go out to the ranch, and then we're cigar smokers. We took out our cache of guns, and we'd go shooting, and then hunting, and it was just a great, weekend that we would have. And then so I started the page, and it just kind of snowballed from there, and just kind of grew from nowhere. That's and so I appreciate meeting, people like you. I've met so many people on social media that you DM each other, and you're like, next thing you're hanging out at SHOT Show.
Yep.
And it's crazy to have those relationships, stem from, from a digital presence, and it's great, and I love it.
Well, it's cool. I mean, what you've done too is take things that kind of go together. I mean, just stuff that, one of the things that I worry about for my son is 9 years old, turning 10, and I took him on his first hunting trip. And it was my first hunting.
That was pretty recent, right?
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I found out why it's called hunting and not killing. Okay, because you sit in a blind and you freeze your balls off.
That's why it's called fishing and not
catching.
Catching.
Yeah. So, but I mean, the thing is, like, there are things. There's the way that men are designed. That we like certain things. We like cigars. We like blowing things up. Like, it's not bad. It's good. It's ingrained in us. It's how we are. And so when you take those things and you put them together, I mean, I get it too. Like people, don't mix, gunpowder and alcohol. Well, these are all unloaded, and let's there's something to say about being just smart, but these things that men really are attracted to, and that men have been told that they can't be who they are in our society these days, really starts to bother me. So when you have cigars and guns, you're going to have people say, oh, how misogynistic is that? And, you pigs and all that. I'm like, dude, like, pound sand, I don't care.
Same,
like, there needs to be outlets for men that are things that we're interested in that may not be the best for our health. Okay, I was a health coach. I was a vitamin salesperson.
That's right.
All about that. But dude, you give me brisket, bourbon, beer, and bullets, and dude, I'm stoked. Like, my life, I'm very happy at that exact moment. Like, that's okay. And so having these things together, and having dudes that can be all about the things that naturally and genetically we are interested in is a good thing, and the next generations really need to be cognizant of that and not lose it, not become, wussified. The wussification of America.
I've used the pussification of America for many years, and I've seen that happening. Recently, not even recently, within that last 10 plus years.
Yep.
And it's
accelerating.
It is, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, the crazy stuff that's happening now, it's nuts. I mean, I don't even want to get into it necessarily.
Well, and you don't want to be negative about stuff, but the reality is, what did I see? Something about, there's like sayings. I screw up sayings all the time, but I've seen the sayings that, like, a dangerous man is a good man, or something along those lines, and whatever. But, like, just the understanding that someone who can take care of themselves is more likely to not be in a fight than someone who can't take care of themselves. Like, I don't want the loud guy. I'm not too worried about the loud guy, because the loud, obnoxious guy that obviously has some problems going on, that person probably isn't as dangerous as the quiet guy. The quiet guy that's quiet and confident. Like, I want my son to be so confident in himself that when somebody says, hey, you want to go do this thing, he says no. If the thing is not good for him, or he's just not interested in doing it. Like, it's okay to not do stuff. It's okay to be confident in yourself, and you should be. And that's the men that are confident in who they are, they're the ones that treat women right. Yeah. They're the ones that do right by their employees, and women too. Obviously, this translates to women as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But men need to have these values instilled in them, and need to be okay being who they are, not fake, machismo, but real confidence. And then they will make better decisions and protect people better. They'll do better stuff. And, cigars, guns, whiskey, it's not fake. It's not for, being who you're not. It's, if you're really interested in them, it's good. Be down with it.
Yeah, most definitely. And probably you and I we're not the type of people that will walk into a room of guys and, hey, what kind of guns do you have? And look what I got, right? We don't do that. And same.
I mean, it depends on the room. Like,
well, yeah, if it's a room full of gun dudes, and sure, then we can talk about that. But you walk into a room of new people that you just met.
I'm more interested in them.
Yeah.
Than like saying what I've got going on. Like that's what I think is missing for a lot of guys too. It's just that confidence of saying, dude, like you can. It's good to be interested in other people too.
Yeah.
It's good to be interested in other people, what they've got jamming.
Mm-hmm.
Because the people that I've always wanted to emulate are the ones that are like that.
Yeah.
That listen really well.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say like listen, like super sappy, but like they give a crap about what you're saying. They're not worried about their next word.
Yeah.
They're not listening to be able to talk to you.
Yep.
They're listening because like they're really interested.
It's
like
genuine interest.
Dude, like that's and I found a lot of people like that. Like the CEO of Cabot Guns. Dude is the nicest guy, and he remembers everything about everybody.
That is so cool.
And his personality, like he's always like, oh man, I met this new guy today that's buying these guns, and what he does? He does this, and his family does this, and I'm like, damn, Rob, like I don't remember anything about any of my clients. Like that's good for you, man. Yeah. But he makes people feel that way.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's another thing too. When you buy a Cabot, and you go through that process, you're going to have that. You might not get it from me, but if you get it, like I'll make sure your gun's built and it goes bang and it's got all the right options. Yeah. But Rob will remember everything about you.
Well, talk to me about that process, because I'm into cars. I like luxury vehicles, and I've been into Land Rovers for years.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the late 90s, when I first got my first Land Rover, I went to the dealership.
Yep.
And they greeted you. Like, hey, how are you? Coming in? Would you like some coffee? You want to sit down here? And then they get to know you. And once you purchase the vehicle, you're a customer for life.
Yep.
And then when you go in for service, Mr. Brunda, coming in here, can I get your coffee? Oh, sugar, right? And no cream, whatever. And they remember that stuff. I can't say that they do that now anymore, unfortunately. But that kind of sounds like if I were to call Cabot, order a gun, explain that process.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of ways. We're actually getting a lot of people ordering online now because the website I built, they can do their options and it works and all that. But we still try to do the best we can on that. And I would say we are the best, if not near the best. Of that process, that personal touch. We can't do that with everybody all the time because the company's so small. Like that's why they had to bring me in to do the sales. We are working on making that process even better. So like, let's say you order a gun online, okay? You order online, you put your deposit down. By the way, we don't charge 100% up front. Like most companies, you order a custom gun, you're paying 100% up front.
And then you wait a year.
And you wait and you get it when you get it, and you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. Like I don't like that. Yeah. But a lot of people have gotten egos because they've been the only ones doing it for a while.
Yep.
Okay? So when you do it, it's a small deposit. We give you an estimated delivery date. It's a window. Like we're going to do what we can, but please understand it's a window. And, there are some emails and calls that'll happen along the way.
Yep.
But the biggest thing is if you reach out, you're going to get a touch right back. We're working on systems that are going to be better to keep people engaged the whole build process, because a year's a long time.
That's cool. Yeah.
A year's a long time, to where you'll know when your gun's going through each phase, when the frame's being milled, the slide. We're working on all that.
Yeah.
It's very tough to do because sometimes when you give too much info, people get confused and think, oh, they're building my gun. It's like, dude, we're starting.
Yeah.
We just cut the steel. Like it's 6 months, man.
Yeah.
And it could be 9 depending, on where we're at.
Yeah.
So, it's also not over promising. So we're working on a balance on that. But we're still the best, honestly. You email, you're going to get a response. Here's where your gun is. Nice. Here's an estimate. If it changes, we'll do our best to let you know.
Yeah.
But it's also, as a small company doing what we're doing, it's really hard to touch people as much as we can, but we still do it a lot. And when you get the gun, you're going to get follow-up contact. Hey, how'd you like it? Now Now it's time to clean your gun for the first time if you ever want to send it in. The warranty process is so easy.
Nice.
Like, if you ever have a problem, like, just we fix it. Like, it's a no questions asked. It gets fixed, because you can't have guns out there that aren't doing what you said or really not meeting the customer expectation. Because when you're there's a lot of warranty requests that we do that really shouldn't be warranted, but we do it anyway because it's about the experience. It's about building that customer relationship.
It's your reputation for sure.
Yeah. Every now and then you get somebody that's like, dude, you're a pain in the butt. I think we need to break up. But those people in the gun business are few and far between. And you do the best you can. But as long as you keep that up, and as long as we, and by we I mean like Cabot Alchemy and me together, keep up the commitment to excellence, as the company grows, it won't suffer. I mean, last year Cabot built less than 400 guns.
And this year?
I don't have the final numbers yet. It's
double?
Rona years. No, we won't double. We'll still be like at 500 to 600.
Okay.
Like, you can't just flip a switch and make more of these.
Yeah. Well, and that's a testament to the quality, the attention to everything, and I wish this was like a touch type video where you can, touch the gun and stuff, because you can really, really tell just the excellence of the gun.
That's why I like stuff like the guys here in Frisco from Revolutionary Roller Lock. Like, you want high, like we do high touch. They do like they're in your pockets of your pants touching you, that kind of a thing. Well, they're all over. Like, there is so much communication to build a gun with them. I'm like, that's too much. Like, that would like drive me crazy on it from a customer service standpoint.
Right.
But it's like that attention to detail. I will pay double, triple, quadruple
just for that.
A similar product to know that somebody is behind it. And to, like, when you get the story and you understand who these people are, like, I know I don't want to sound, snobbish or whatever, but, you're going from, $2,000 to $4,000 on a gun to get a custom gun, a semi-custom gun.
Sure.
Like, I will spend that extra because I know the people.
Yeah.
And I know the process. Like, it's worth it to me.
Yeah.
When I get stuff, I don't get free guns. Like, people think, oh, you work in the industry, you get free stuff. When I buy something, I'll buy, like, first thing I'll do is I'll buy it full retail to support another company doing what they do, because I know the margins are so slim and it's so hard to keep going. Like, there's so many companies that come and go. Yeah. They come and go, and it's because it's not an easy business.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So if I like it, I support it, and I support it with my wallet.
Yeah, same here. My buddy JP, who's sitting outside in the lounge right now, he's having a 50 cal made. And
who's making it?
I forgot the name of the company, but totally opposite of the service that he's received. They gave him an estimated window. I think he ordered it back in the summer.
Yep.
Still not ready, even though they told him he'd be ready by July. His communication is like, he'll send an email and say, hey, just checking on the status. He's not being a dick about it. He'll get it when he gets it. And then he'll get something back like within, like a week is the reply. And then it's like, oh, we're still working on it. We're getting, the trigger, whatever's being, machined or whatever. Yeah. But he's had like nothing but bad service with those guys. And I think he paid up front.
Yeah,
he's paid.
I will accept that if you don't pay up front. Okay?
Right.
Because if you pay up front, if you pay 100% up front, that means that they've made their money. And I don't want to knock anybody that's doing it, but I don't think it's a right thing to do. Yeah. Because that means you've paid for your parts, you've paid for your labor, and you've taken your profit. Really, what you're doing is you're paying for the guns that have already been delivered. Yeah. Most likely, or you're prepaying for guns down the road. Yeah. Like, that's not how accounting works. I know you're in the insurance business, so you understand how accounting works. But still, I actually try to get Cabot to take bigger deposits. I'm like, this is stupid. Like, we should be taking 50% minimum on these guns to even put somebody in line.
What was their reaction to that?
They're like, no, because we want to make it more accessible.
Okay, makes
is
sense.
one is one thing, but also like the more money you take, the more the onus is on you to deliver within a certain time frame. Really, and I'm not saying that means that they're being lazy on their time frames, but it's impossible. So when I've had people bitch at me about their Cabot and or alchemy not being done on a date, and I'm like, dude, I've paid other companies $5,000 for guns that they said would be done in 90 days, and it's 8 months later, and I still don't have.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, and I understand things are tough right now, but I don't even have an estimated delivery date.
Yeah.
Now I have other companies that I've placed orders with as a dealer that didn't take any money up front that said, yeah, it'll be 4 weeks and we're on 12 and I still don't have them. But I'm okay with that because they didn't take any of my money.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of bummed because I really want the guns.
Yeah, makes sense, yeah.
But it's this balance of if you're going to take someone's money, you have a higher responsibility on delivery. And the more money you take, the higher your responsibility.
Yeah.
Like Maxim, for example, it's 100% up front, okay? But they say, 6 to 12 weeks on their website, and they've always delivered within that. Even as a dealer, you got to pay up front. So like for me, doing this as a business, because I sell other guns outside of Cabot and Alchemy, okay? Normally, you don't pay 100% up front as a dealer. Like maybe you'll do a deposit on the outside, but since they deliver, and they've always delivered ahead of their expected times, I trust them enough to give them my money that I can't be turning over in inventory and making other money.
Gotcha.
So, it's just having that understanding. But yeah, Maxim has been great to work with. Bull Armory has been great to work with in Israel. They're closed for COVID right now, so it's hard to get their stuff. Cabot, Alchemy, obviously, they're like, amazing to work with. The guys at Revolutionary Roller Lock's great to work with. Triarch, great to work with. Like, there's a lot of companies that I can say are very, very good to work with. And if I don't sell this, there's like, I won't promote it.
Yeah.
If I'm not behind it 100%.
Yeah, there's a reason why you sell it. Now, tell me, is there a difference in not necessarily the customer service, but like say someone buying the Nero versus buying a Mammoth gun?
Yeah, if you buy a Nero, we're gonna say pound sand, and no, I'm just kidding. No, if you buy, no, it's exactly the same.
Okay.
No matter what level. I mean, if you and honestly, I'm gonna tell you what's really interesting. The customer demands get higher the lower the cost of the gun. Okay?
Interesting.
So Alchemy customers are bugging all the time. And I love you guys. If you're out there and you're on the forums, like, dude, I'll tell you right now, like, hearts, I love you because you're good. You know more about 1911's than I do, but you're a pain in the butt. Because these guys, though, like, they're so into the gun, into the gunsmithing, like, they're so waiting for their $2,500 gun, but the guys that commission a six-figure gun, they're like, for them, it's like one of their guns, and they kind of forgot sometimes, or like they're waiting for it, but they're not really in anticipation because they have other things going on. So those guys, it's easier for me to sell a $50,000 gun than it is to sell a $2,500 gun.
So do you have like programs where, hey, we'll fly you over to the factory to come pick up your gun or whatever? You do things like that?
Yeah. Cool. The founder, Rob, has flown guns out to people. We actually have a lot of people fly in to see the guns. And the guns are made, it's funny, because the guns are made in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So there's a facility in Fort Wayne, that's where the guns are made. Cabot and Alchemy are made there. The company is headquartered in Cabot, Pennsylvania. And that's the showroom. That's where the CEO, COO, and shipping and quality control department are. Okay. And then I'm here in Texas. So, you call in and people don't even realize where we are. We're all over the place. But, people will fly into Cabot, but it's hard to get to Cabot. Like, it's far.
Is it?
I've never been there. I've actually never been working for him for 2 years, and I've never been to the headquarters. I go to Fort Wayne because that's where that's where the shop guys are. Like, if you want to see cool stuff being built, you go to Fort Wayne. That's where the sausage is being made. That's where the sausage is being made.
But never to the
because it's hard to get there. And I'm like, I got to fly to PA and I got to drive,
Okay.
It's not a big deal, but I just haven't been there yet. But also, like, I like being with the shop guys, and, they give me really good ideas they have really good ideas for designs and for what can be improved. And you listen to the guys that are in there, the machinists. We've got the guy that's in charge of the machine shop right now. His name's Matt Dorito. He is the bass guitarist for Pop Evil.
I didn't know he what.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, he's the Pop Evil guy, but I didn't know.
Yeah, he's in charge of the machine. Yeah, so he's in charge of the Cabot machine shop. So he's in there every day. He's in there every day.
No shit.
And he has improved the whole thing. So like super cool rocker.
Holy
you
shit.
know. So like I know Matt, and you know he met Cabot at Sturgis.
Okay.
So we just did it. I just finished a video. We put a video up on Matt's story, how he came to Cabot, the production process. We just put it on our Instagram and YouTube.
I didn't see that. Okay.
So take a look. You can see the whole video. But he's like total like supports blue collar, made in the USA. Like that's how he grew up making stuff. He's made his own choppers before, his own bikes.
Yes.
And so he's really gone in there and helped make the manufacturing process even better. But right now he can't tour, so he moved to Fort Wayne in order to run the machine shop and make sure that that's all in tip-top
that's new.
shape. It's new. He would go on.
I know he's been affiliated.
He's been
Cabot.
affiliated,
Yeah.
but he's there full time now because he can't tour. Like there's nothing else to do.
Shit.
Yeah, so he moved. He bought a house there, and he moved there to do that. And also, like you talk about the coolest guys. Like Matt is the coolest guy, super nice. Like, have you ever met like people you're like, you're so nice.
Yeah.
Like he's one of those guys that will just remember everything. Like on a scale of like 1 to 100 in ego, he's 0. The coolest guy on ego, and he has every reason to have a giant ego.
He's a fucking rock star.
He's literally a rock star.
Yeah.
And the coolest guy.
And I felt so bad. I missed him at SHOT Show. After I spoke to you, he sent me a DM.
Oh.
And then he's like, "Hey, look what you missed." And I think he posted a picture of a cigar in the Cabot shop, and I'm like, "Fuck, dude, I'm sorry."
He loves cigars. Yeah, so the last cigar I had was with him in Vegas at SHOT Show.
Oh, badass.
Yeah, so he's super cool. We've got in the shop, like I'll just talk about the shop guys.
Yeah.
Like the shop is super cool because right now, you know, it's a small company, like the Cabot and Alchemy, small company, but between the number of people, that's under 30 people that work for the whole company.
Okay.
There's 2 Robs, there's 3 or 4 Nicks, there's a couple Jakes. So everybody has a different name that's not their actual name. So like there's a guy there, the guy that etches all the Damascus that's super smart on this, his name's Nick Clark.
Okay.
Everyone calls him Carter because Rob, the founder of the company, didn't know his name was Clark, not Carter, and we already had another Nick. So the name Carter stuck. The only people that call him Carter are people in Cabot.
Yeah.
Nowhere on his birth certificate or anything says
no
Carter.
Carter at all.
He only answers to Carter in the shop because we have so many damn Nicks. And so we have another guy. I'm Nick.
Yeah.
We have Nick. I think we have 4 Nicks now.
Including
me.
one of the 4. So
I'm one of the 4. Yeah, so it's super confusing. People say Nick, and you don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
So we got Carter, you know, the Kyle, who, you know, he's in charge of the Cabot gun room. I mean, he loves pinball machines. So he makes these pinball machines and, you know, rebuilds them, puts them all over Fort Wayne and does that. So he made pinball machines, and the thing that you do the paddles with, or that you launch the ball with, he used a Cabot frame and slide and a trigger mechanism to do that. And, you know, so like,
that's cool.
These guys are super all over the place, like super eccentric in different ways, but all super cool. And like, they get to build cool stuff all the time. It's like the coolest group of people doing the coolest thing. And you really can't explain it because it's not, you know, I like to tell them, you know, it's not really run like a business.
Yeah.
You know, it is, but it's not. Like, it's everybody's got, you know, their part that they play, and no one really has, you know, the ego that pops in there.
That's cool.
I mean, Rob Shawland, you know, and the guy in charge of Alchemy, and like the guy that, you know, makes everything shoot really, really well. Yeah. You know, he puts on a tough exterior, but he's really like a total teddy bear, and also the coolest guy. Like you go to him and he will answer any question. He will bend over backwards to help people with their guns. He'll answer anything because he just wants people to be served and to be taken care of well. And I mean, so we have on Alchemy, we only have 3 people building Alchemies, Rob and 2 other people. And then Cabots, I think we have 5 people actually building the Cabots in the build room, or 4 guys in the build room. So it's not a big group of people, but they're all basically, you know, doing similar things side by side, and
that is cool.
Rob's teaching them all how to like do stuff the exact right way. And we got Jeff Meester, who used to be at Republic Forge. Yeah. Okay. And he's a funny guy. Like he talks a little bit. He's real cool, but he just likes to make guns. Like that's all he wants to do.
He gets in his zone.
All he wants to do is make guns. Like, hey, he'll talk a little bit, but mostly he just wants to make guns.
That's cool.
And he just, gets the job done. And so he's in there making alchemies and all that. There's actually a couple new gunsmiths in the Cabot room, but there's a new gunsmith on alchemy. Her name's Tori. Huh. And this was really cool because, like, when you're building a gun like the alchemy, where you're having to do a lot of hand fitting and all that. Sorry, I'm just like talking a lot. I don't know if I'm talking too much.
No, man, not at all.
Your editing guy is going to be like, oh, crap, no. There's a lot to cut out. But, like, having a female gunsmith, and I don't want to make it about sex, but people have different strengths genetically. We're talking about that. And, like, the way they grew up. And women are really good at attention to detail.
Yep, definitely.
And so having her in there to do, to be beveling stuff and blending stuff and prepping things and getting things together. And apparently she's really good with the lathe, like really good with a manual lathe when you need to do stuff. Yeah. So to have somebody with that skill set and that attention to detail, like other companies, like, okay, we're going to have one person build the whole gun from start to finish, which can be good. But I'm going to be honest. I want Tori blending my gun. Yeah. I want Rob barreling my gun. Yeah. I want my gun built by the person that's the best at this specific subset of tasks.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, when you get a gun, where the trigger's done right and the barrel's done right and the blending's done right and it's done by the right people, like it's magic. So I don't want one person building the whole gun. I want the best person doing the right portion
specific job
of the job. And it's not like assembly line. It's because this is craft to be able to do that. Like,
that's right.
If I want a 1-inch gun, there's a lot of people in there that can barrel a 1-inch gun for sure. But if I have my druthers, I'm going to say, hey, Rob, barrel this gun. Because, he does it. He knows the measurements like in his mind, and he can go, you're going to have some tolerance stacking here on this gun. I can tell, so I'm going to have to use a little bit longer length. He knows exactly what to do to make it work.
Yeah.
So I want him to barrel my 1-inch gun. Like, is that going to happen every time? No.
Right.
And would I notice? Probably not.
Yeah.
I guarantee, because I can't shoot a 1-inch group at 20 yards, 25 yards. I can't shoot a 1-inch group at 5 yards. I mean, I could, but
So if there's 4 Nicks, what's your nickname?
I'm Nick.
Just Nick. You're the Nick.
No, there's another the Nick. I'm kind of like I don't want to say the Wizard of Oz because that's kind of weird. But like,
you're behind the scenes.
I'm behind the scenes. Yeah. Like I don't really get to interface with these guys as much as I'd like to.
Right.
Because I really like every single one. But honestly, my thing is getting the company and getting the sales pushed out far enough that we can breathe.
Yeah.
Okay. So like for example, last year we came out with this thing called Gun of the Month. Okay. So basically it's limited edition. So all our limited editions sell out in seconds. Okay. You release 20 guns, no matter what the cost, they sell out right away. All right. And I was like, well, we're building one-off guns all the time, and when you're always building a one-off gun, it's hard to get any type of rhythm going.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, why don't we make 20 of them? Okay, and this is something they'd done before, but not really pushed it all the way through to the finish line. So I got the idea from Rob. He'd done it before, and we said, okay, well, let's do this. Let's come up with 12 really kick-ass guns that are stuff that we don't normally do, because to do it on one gun doesn't make sense. But to do it on 20 guns, we can make it work on 20.
Yeah.
So we came up with 20 really unique guns and sold them as sets, where people bought a gun and they got a gun delivered to their FFL every single month, auto charge. So they had to either pay for it up front, or every month they paid for it. And it was one, to get like the ultimate set of guns, but also two, so that we could get the pipeline filled with stuff that we knew what we were building every month.
Yeah.
So that there was some semblance of like, okay, we're doing this now, we're doing this now, we're doing this now.
There you go.
Were there problems where like, okay, that was kind of complicated to make 20 of, the Safari guns, a 10 millimeter with a Damascus steel comp? Yeah, those guns, the people that have our 10 millimeter Safari guns probably have the most intense time guns that we've ever made. Okay. The most expensive man hours ever into those 20 guns. But we learned from it.
Yeah.
And, it was super cool. So this year we did it again. We did 21 for 2021.
Oh, cool.
Sold out in minutes again. So it's like, my thing is, how do we get the sales streamlined so that we don't have to like wonder what is being sold. Like we can pre-sell a bunch of Rolexes limited editions. Like how do you do that? And so we came up with that. It worked out very well. It was executed. Every gun was delivered on time for this year in 2020. Wow. Delivered every single gun on time.
That says a lot.
And December's gun is a Nero with a Damascus slide. Like, yeah, I'll never get one of those because they're all gone. But you know,
holy crap.
Yeah, dude, that's what I do. So I'm doing that stuff. I'm always thinking how to sell more, but how to maintain how the company is going, and also, you know, have good communication, have fun, all that stuff. So I don't get to see everybody in the shop as much. So I'm Nick. Like I see them once a week on a Zoom call. Yeah. The guys in the shop. But outside of that, I'm just. And they're super cool because they trust me to just do what I'm there's no micromanaging. Like, as long as everything's going, why? You know? And we were, even before the pandemic, the trajectory was already up. Yeah. So the pandemic, you know, I don't know how much coronavirus has increased people's appetites for Damascus 1911's.
Probably not a lot.
Yeah. But, you know, the numbers have been so high and moving that it's good. It's just good, man. Yeah. It's been a real treat.
Yeah, most definitely.
So
we met before the pandemic.
We did. We met. Well, it popped up on my timeline a little over a year ago. It was a year. It was like 13 months ago that I was here.
Holy shit! November?
It was November. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, and then back then we had no idea this was going to happen, but you showed me your cache of guns, which I love, and you seem to be doing well, and your business is growing, so that's good to hear. And yeah, glad we're staying afloat.
Yeah, ditto. And I'm just glad that you know, that people are, you know, able to keep having jobs and, you know, building guns. I mean, who knows what's going to happen going forward? But it's like, this is it's important to support businesses that are making stuff here in the States. Yeah,
most definitely. And here's a good representation of that for sure. Mm-hmm. We need to, we'll get out to the range here soon.
Oh,
We'll get, you know, busy to come out there and do some video stuff and take some pictures. And
if you think just dry firing these guns is fun, wait till you shoot them.
Dude, the dry fire on that is just, it's like no other. Yeah, I can't wait to.
And we spend on every gun. They spend a lot of time making sure that the dry fire, because most of these, the first thing you do when you get a new gun is dry fire.
Yeah.
So that has to be perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. And the thing about a 1911 is that the more you shoot it, the better it gets. The trigger. It's normally when you first get them, they're kind of crappy. All right. Uh-huh. So to make them this good and feel this good out of the box, they only get better. This one, with all the rounds that it has through it, has just gotten better and better and better.
Guesstimate the rounds that you've gone through that.
6,000-ish. I mean,
it looks and feels like a brand new gun.
But that's the DLC, the diamond like carbon finish, like that can, and the barrel looks brand new. It feels brand new. But and it's like I take it to demo days and I just, you know, hand it to people and they go in and they shoot it. I don't worry about it. Like I don't worry. Yeah. I don't worry about these guns malfunctioning on people. So I don't have to like go in with them and, you know, clear malfunctions. I know it's just going to work.
Be there on the standby just in case it's a stovepipe or something.
Yep. No, you're not going to stovepipe. Like they're just going to work as long as, I will put this caveat, as long as you use the magazines that I give you.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my favorite magazines are, they're Italian. Yeah, Act Mags.
Okay.
Yeah. So we use, you know, American-made mags on Cabots, and I like them very well. But the Alchemies, the only thing that's Italian is the mags, and I really love those mags. They're inexpensive, but they're extremely reliable. So buy them from the Alchemy website if you want good 9mm mags. 9mm single-stack mags are a pain in the butt to get to run well. Those are awesome. They're a little tight when you first get them, but once you work them in, they're my go-to mag.
Oh, shit, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, even when I'm carrying, you know, an Alchemy 45. I still use the Italian mag because I just like it. It's all black.
Yeah.
So I like that mag.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
So anyway,
That's good to know.
little details. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, we'll get up to the range and you can put some rounds through it and feel the power.
Yeah. Would love that.
For sure.
Well, thanks for coming out, man. Well, Biz will come out here in a little bit and cut us off, but appreciate you coming out here.
Dude.
Thank you again. And
thanks for having me. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for the cigar that I really, really enjoy. And I mean, anyone that knows me knows that cigars, it's not really my thing, but I've talked about these cigars before.
Yeah.
Because you told me where they got them made from.
Yeah.
And so I've tried to find, I would go and I don't know anything about it. So when I was in Vegas at SHOT Show, I call it Snot Show.
Yeah.
Because you get really sick.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I had a Rona already because SHOT Show this year, I was laid out for 10 days afterwards. So honestly, everybody's really sad that there's no SHOT Show. When I got the announcement, I was like, yes. Because honestly,
I felt the same way, dude. There was people that were like looking forward to it, and then they were like pissed off about it. And I'm like, even if they did have it, everyone's gonna be fucking masked up. You're not gonna be able to touch guns because, or maybe, you got to put on gloves to touch it. It's like, no.
Oh, God.
No, it would have been a whole different scenario.
Well, I wish when we were at SHOT Show this last year, I wish that I was in the glass cage and the guns were out there so I didn't have to touch everybody. Mm-hmm. Not that I'm a germaphobe, but I got really sick.
There's a lot of handshaking.
That happens a lot. And honestly, SHOT Show is great. My favorite part of SHOT Show is the antique firearms area.
Yeah.
Because, when you look at some of the old school guns, right now I want to build my collection of antique stuff, get a authentic 1911 A1, get a 1903 pocket hammerless. I'm looking to build that collection of really cool guns because, that's the kind of stuff too, where it's, there's some history behind it. Yeah. It's super cool. And then, I like seeing, actual innovation.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, what's going on right now, the gun boom, I think it's going to be a while before we see a lot of real innovation because it's going to be on hold while people just fulfill the
right now, just people are just, get them out. The innovation part, you're right. It's kind of taking a
You'll see incremental improvements on existing platforms, but new stuff. And that's the other thing too. Why does there always need to be new? Some stuff needs to be better. A single stack 1911, 10 rounds of 9mm. You could fit more, obviously. So capacity is a thing. That's why there's a 2011.
Yep.
But there was stuff this year like the Dan Wesson DWX. I thought that was really. I still haven't seen it yet. It hasn't come out. It's they've had trouble making it. Yeah. Which is a 1911 top end with a quasi 1911 bottom end using a CZ75 mag, which I thought was really cool because it's like a 2011, but it's not. I really wanted to actually shoot one of those, and they're not out yet, but they were supposed to be out. Yeah. It's there's all this stuff that's on hold because people are just they're just fulfilling demand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like true innovation. And this is coming from a guy who's working on a model that was designed 109 years ago.
Yeah.
So I like seeing true innovation or taking something and really doing unique stuff with it. I post videos and people go, "Oh man, I had somebody comment that my $230 Taurus G3, I can pull that out faster, and I'll take your pretty little gun away from you." And I was like, dude,
I think you posted something about that.
Yeah, I did.
Similar to that. Yeah.
I'm like, dude, that's not what it's about. This isn't like this isn't a competition. This is it's doing something different, and when people appreciate it, it's super cool. So, yeah, man, thanks for having me. Thanks for the cigar. And
real quick, did we talk about the Vaney gun?
I don't know if we talked about the Vaney guns.
Maybe beforehand, but what and then the prefaces. Oh, we did, and I said I was going to put up a picture, but we didn't talk about the picture that was leaked.
Yeah.
The other side that would make more sense of why it was Vaney.
Yeah. So when you get into the oak, which is short for one of a kind, there's a lot of art. It's art. Okay.
Yeah.
And so like we had a dragon gun come out earlier this year that had the head of a dragon on it and like all this stuff, and it went into a painting. Like you take the gun and you put it into the case,
Holy shit.
and it completes a painting. It was Lee Griffith did it. He's
okay.
an amazing engraver and artist. Crazy story. He's a better artist than he is painter or than engraver, but he's an amazing self-taught engraver. Like his story is unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
I'm still working on a video of his whole life story. It's unbelievable.
Sweet.
But yeah, so the veiny gun, so it's this gun, it's fully polished and it has roots on it, and we were going to release it in an email to our VIP customers, and then the owner of the company, he's like, I'm going to post it. And he just posts it. Like, I didn't know that he posted. I just see all these dings on Instagram, and it's like, it's running up, and I'm like, what the hell? What? Like, because I normally post stuff, and he posts this photo of one side of the gun, and it's engraved, and he just puts the text, 1 of 1 finishing the year. And I'm like, that's not a lot of description. Sometimes it's good to not have description.
Yeah.
But like that's the most popular post, second most popular post. The first one is Biden sniffing a gun. But you know, that's the second most popular post on Instagram. It got picked up. Brownells shared it. A bunch of people shared it, and people think it's veins, and the gun is black. So like there's all these sexual innuendos.
Yes.
And I was like, we need to really now we have to post the other side, because there's a scorpion on the other side. And it's desert roots is the scene. Okay. So the wrong side, I guess, of the gun was posted. But the cool thing is, you know, it's all in the eye of the beholder. It's art, you know? So people interpreted it in their own minds. Like, I didn't even think about veins.
At first I didn't either. My eyes were drawn to the blue accents, which was beautiful. And then when I started reading the comments, because I got it from my buddies at We Like Shooting.
Yeah.
Sean posted it. And I'm like, that's a beautiful gun. That's badass. It was the fucking Cabot. And then I started reading the comments. I'm like,
the veins. Now you can't stop seeing it.
No, and I couldn't unsee it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to tell this story about it. So I don't know. I could be getting in trouble after this. But
by the time this is produced and sent out, maybe I think the gun will already be.
Well, it's probably
posted.
But it's posted. I'm going to tell you the story behind the gun.
Okay. Yeah. Please.
So not all guns make it to the finish. Like the quality control level is so high at Cabot that things get sent back all the time that you wouldn't even notice are wrong. So what happened was we made 10 of these all blue guns called the Cabot Blue. Blue is a very hard color to do on stainless steel. Normally you can blue carbon steel and like niter blue. So we made 10 of them and sold them, okay? But we had so much trouble with the blue finish and getting it perfect that only 9 were delivered.
Oh shit. Okay.
And so the 10th one, this gun was originally all blue, and I kid you not, I talked about the hours in polishing. It had to be done 3 times.
Holy shit.
And finally, we're like, dude, we've spent like literally $50,000 on this gun.
Fuck.
Like, there's just no we can't salvage it. So we sent it off to Auto to engrave it. And the engraving came back like, oh my God, this is amazing. We refinished the slide and the frame. We repolished it after engraving, sent it off for that black ice DLC finish. Yeah. And then the blue small parts we were able to get done, and those were acceptable. So we took a gun that we'd spent tens and tens of thousands of dollars on that we just couldn't get to finish, engraved it, and turned it into this. And, we're not going to make money on it. Let me put it that way. But we definitely turned lemons into lemonade. Yeah. And engraved it, and it turned out to be like the right gun for someone to have a 1 of 1 that we will never do again, because it was so unbelievably painful to go through that. Like, we have things all the time that we have to, like, Damascus steel that, we go, the gun didn't turn out, so we have to get more Damascus. Well, we had to pay the blacksmith for the Damascus. Some of these billets are, for a billet for a slide can be, 6, 7, 8 grand for just the steel that goes into it from the blacksmith.
Wow.
Okay, so anyway, the veiny gun was lemons turned into lemonade, and someone is going to have a 1 of 1 gun that will never be done again because of how it happened. So that person is very, very lucky that's getting that.
I bet, yeah. But the social media, presence that you got on that is, you couldn't ask
and
for
he
anything else.
It was on Sunday, and he's like, I'm just going to post something. And I'm like, I'm supposed to post it because my job. But he did it, and it worked out. So,
He's doing your job for you.
He's doing my job, but I love it when that happens. So yeah, that's, I mean, the way things happen serendipitously sometimes. That was not intentional. It was intentional in the solution for it, but it was, that's some of the stuff that just happens behind the scenes that people will never know.
Yeah.
Like literally that gun cost tens and tens of thousands of dollars and months of time. Because the original blues were sold over 2 years ago.
Oh, that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, so that is a amazing gun that somebody is getting that gun to make money on it would have to be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the guy will use it, and I don't know, maybe.
I hope he doesn't. Like honestly, I hope he does. I hope he doesn't shoot it, because I just oh, don't shoot that gun. Like we did so much with that. He can.
Yeah.
Like we have people that take their $40,000-$50,000 guns out and they
display?
they do mag dumps, and they send us videos of their mag dumps on their guns. And I'm like, dude, I love it. Like, yes, if that's who you are, I love that that's who you are. That you just mag dump.
So you'd rather have someone mag dump than just.
I'd rather have them do whatever they
display?
want. Like on this one gun, on the veiny gun, I don't want someone to shoot that because I know what went into it.
Yeah.
And I would just rather you not. But if you do.
Yeah.
If you do mag dump that gun, whoever you are that buys the veiny gun, you, my friend, are a baller. And I would like to be adopted by you and be written.
I want to see it shot. Yeah, if you're watching this, please, I want to see the veiny gun shot.
Yeah.
And
it's called the Blue Scorpion. It's not veins.
Okay, yeah, the Blue
it's
Scorpion.
Not veins.
Yeah.
They're roots, which technically are veins for plants, but
okay,
we can call it the veiny gun.
Again, it'll make more sense once the full. Will you be posting the actual?
Yeah, I posted the other side today.
Okay,
and then you'll see the case. The case. You
haven't posted the case yet?
No.
Okay.
And the magazines. The magazines are blue.
Shit.
Like use different magazines.
Like the color of the trigger?
Mm-hmm.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
So if you do shoot them, use different magazines, because that was another thing. Like, please, like, it's PVD, which is hard. It's probably 60 on the Rockwell scale, so it's pretty damn hard. But yeah, please use different magazines. Use alchemy mags to shoot it.
Yeah, the Italian.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Nick Morrow, thanks for coming in to
thanks for having
the
me.
podcast here at Industrial. Follow Nick at DEFCON Creative. Of course, he's everything behind the Cabot social pages. And thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.